He said he saw in Wikipedia the entry for Mali. It's a small landlocked country known for its bad referees. So it's really a great honor to be here. Thank you for inviting me, Mr. President, and thank you, Yossi, as always, for all the help that you've given me over the years. And of course, each of these technologies that we have on stage has impacted our lives in many, many ways. I actually have a good story to tell about TiVo. I was one of the early customers of TiVo when my first daughter was born years ago. And of course, if you have a small baby in the house, TiVo really saves your life. You can actually watch television because you can pause what's going on. And that was quite an innovation at the time. But it also it's changed the way children experience the world of television. When I grew up, we had, when I was growing up, we had 4 television channels, and of course every channel had just its shows. In fact, I was the remote control. My father would say, "Son, change that channel." And turn the channel. So, but for my daughter, I remember when she was about 4 years old, so she grew up with TiVo. She had known TiVo her entire life. And I said to her, I was curious one day, I said, "Do you know what Nickelodeon is?" And she said, "Oh yes, I know. It's a commercial that comes on in one of my shows." Because for her, the idea of Nickelodeon as a channel made no sense. Shows just show up like email or something, and sometimes in the middle there's a commercial for something called Nickelodeon. Anyway, so to talk a little bit about my views of the future, I think, of course, one of the most important things when we think about the future of the internet is to think about the developing world. Wikipedia is currently in over 200 different languages. That's only counting the ones that have at least 1,000 articles. And we are, the languages where we're strong are all the languages that you would expect. The languages, English, all the European languages. I'm very happy to announce that Hebrew Wikipedia just passed 120,000 articles. Is that all I get? Woo! There we go. No, I know the formula is you say something very nice about Israel and then you pause. It's always a good thing.
Can you try it again?
I learned this from Yossi. So anyway, we're very strong in all of the European languages. We have a huge project in Japanese, Chinese, but beyond that, it does begin to taper off. And the reasons for that are all the reasons that you would expect. It depends very much on the degree of literacy, the degree of broadband internet access. It depends on culture in an area. But these things are changing very, very quickly. Just last summer, a new cable was dropped from Europe into Nigeria. And when they turned this fiber optic cable on, the bandwidth to Nigeria, as an entire country, the bandwidth increased by a factor of 10 overnight. And of course, this is driving a lot of changes in Africa. I have a friend who runs an internet company in Africa who tells me that the growth that they are experiencing there it's reminiscent of what it would have been like everywhere else in the late 90s, in the early 2000s, as massive numbers of people are coming online for the first time. And they're coming online through digital devices, through computers, through all kinds of things. This is going to have an enormous impact on the world. One of the things, we're in this interesting moment right now where all of the people who are online are all of the people who we already hear from and we know about in normal ways. But the next billion people are coming online, and they're coming online from places that we normally only hear about when there's some sort of a disaster or a bad referee and this sort of thing. In general, we haven't had this experience of that next billion people in direct conversation with us, and that's coming very, very quickly. And I think that you can't overestimate what the impact that's going to have. I think it's really quite phenomenal on all aspects of our culture. The other thing that I want to discuss then is what is coming in general for wikis beyond Wikipedia. So Wikipedia is growing very quickly now in the developing world, and it is a focus. But I also have my for-profit company, Wikia, which is pushing the boundaries of the wiki technology and pushing the kinds of things that people are collaborating on into all kinds of new areas. So where Wikipedia is designed to be an encyclopedia, written in that very neutral Wikipedia style, real attention to references and things like this, people are doing all kinds of interesting things now with wikis far beyond what you would have for Wikipedia. To give one example, for a given movie, let's say Avatar, which was a big hit for IMAX. For this movie, Wikipedia will have, essentially will have one or maybe a half dozen entries. So an entry on the movie itself, maybe an entry on some of the major characters. In Wikia, we have the James Cameron Avatar Wiki, where the community has written hundreds of articles about this movie. Every single detail of that amazing universe that's depicted in the movie, including a fairly comprehensive analysis of the Navi language, which is the constructed language used. So communities are out there doing all kinds of things. Just recently in Germany, the foreign minister, or defense minister, Gutenberg, was forced to resign after it was revealed on a Wikia site that he had plagiarized significant portions of his dissertation. So what happened was a small group of scholars noticed that there seemed to be some plagiarism, and so they put a wiki up saying, here's the link to his dissertation. We invite the world to come and look and see how much of this is plagiarized. And a massive crowd of people erupted, and that wiki went from 0 page views when it was created to over 1 million page views a day of people coming and analyzing his work and finding instances of plagiarism. And it just took a few days after that until, well, first he said he wouldn't resign, he would just stop using his title, his degree title, but that didn't hold very long, and he ended up resigning after the university pulled his degree. That's the kind of thing that people can do today, and I think that we're going to see a lot more of that kind of activity. People doing things beyond just Wikipedia, just writing an encyclopedia, but creating all kinds of media, generating news, doing pop culture, entertainment, gaming, all these kinds of things. So I think that we're still very much at the beginning of this consumer-generated media revolution. A lot of what is yet to come is going to emerge in the next few years. One of the things to understand about this is that it doesn't happen magically once the technology exists. This is all, everything in Wikipedia, everything in the wiki world is really, it's a social innovation, not a technical innovation. Once the technology exists, people begin to be able to do things, but it may take several years in some cases for people to figure out the way to organize their community to accomplish something. Now that we've seen one wiki come up, to analyze plagiarism, we've seen others begin to pop up. It turns out that Saif Gaddafi plagiarized a fair amount of his dissertation. Of course, there's other things that we should be angry with Saif about than just plagiarizing his dissertations. The least of his crimes, I would say. But this is the kind of thing that once it happens, it begins to happen more and more. People say, "Oh, I see what this group of people did. That's very interesting, and we can do the same thing." So I think it's going to be a very interesting time in the next 10 years. So thank you.
Thank you very much.